Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Samsinar. My student number is 56. And in this opportunity, I will deliver my material about properties of predicates. Properties of predicates are information about the meaning of predicates that make no mention of other predicates. There are 6 sense of properties that predicates may have. The 6 properties fall neatly into 3 groups of 2. Group which might come under the heading of symmetry, reflexivity, and transitivity. The 2 properties of each group are related to each other in exactly parallel ways. Okay, we are moving to symmetry. Symmetry divided into 2, symmetric and asymmetric. Symmetric given a 2-place predicate P if for any pair of referring expression x and y. The sentence x p y entails the sentence y p x, and the p is symmetric. For example, Tanzania is different from Kenya. Different from is symmetric because if we reverse x and y, x is Tanzania and y is Kenya. If we reverse Tanzania and Kenya, like Kenya is different from Tanzania, still has the same meaning. So the sentences have same meaning because the predicate is symmetric. And the second example, Mary is married to Hans. Mary is x and married to is symmetric and Hans is y. If we reverse x and y, Hans and Mary and Hans also has the same meaning. Hans is married to Mary. Is same with Mary is married to Hans. And the last example, Mary is devoted to Hans and Hans is devoted to Mary. If we have a look the meaning of the sentence, Mary berbakti kepada Hans. If the second sentence is Hans berbakti kepada Mary. Kita tahu bahwa yang berbakti hanyalah Mary. Mary berbakti kepada Hans. Hans bukan berbakti kepada Mary, tetapi menyayangi dan memenuhi kebutuhan Mary dalam pernikahan. So, devoted to is not symmetric because if we reverse x and y, it's have the different meaning dalam konteks semantik and pragmatic. Okay, we are moving to asymmetric. Asymmetric is the opposite of symmetric. Asymmetric given a 2-place predicate P in the sentence x py is contradictory with y p x. The P is asymmetric. For example, John is taller than Bill. It means that John is the tall one and Bill is the short one. And then Bill is taller than John. It's the opposite of the first sentence because Bill is the tall one and John is the short one. So taller than is asymmetric because if we reverse x and y, it will make different meaning. And then Jaja is under the table. The table is under Jaja. So those sentences have different meaning. Okay, we are moving to reflexivity. Reflexivity divided into 2, reflexive and irreflexive. Reflexive given a two-place predicate P, if for any single referring expression X or for John and himself, the sentence XPX or sentence XPY is analytic, then P is reflexive. For the example, I am as old as myself. So, as old as is reflexive because I is equal of myself. In this case, X is equal of Y. I is X and myself is Y. So, jadi dalam refleksif yang X itu sama kedudukannya dengan Y. Jadi I sama kedudukannya dengan myself. And also John's cat is identical to itself. Jadi John's cat itu sama dengan itself. Kucing dari John itu mirip, identical to itself. I think that's all about my material, and the next material will be delivered by my friends. Thank you.
My name is Iqbal Alfaritsi, and I will continue from Samsinar explanation about reflexive, but my part will a little bit explain about irreflexive, include transitive and intransitive. Basically, definition irreflexive seems like reflexive, but the difference is, first take a look at this example. Fred is shorter than himself. The second is Mary is different from herself. If we see from the sentence is contradiction, or we see it's necessary false, so we call it as contradiction. And the predicate shorter than, different from is irreflexive predicate. So the clear difference between irreflexive and reflexive is, for reflexive the sentence is analytic and the predicate is reflexive. Meanwhile, for the irreflexive, the sentence is contradiction and the predicate is irreflexive. So finally we come to the third group, is transitivity. The definition of transitive is, definition here given to place predicate, trio referring expression, and there are compound of sentence or set of sentence and between X and Y and Z. It's a little bit confusing for me and you if I explain like that, so take a look at this example. Socrates was wiser than Plato, and Plato was wiser than Aristoteles, and Socrates was wiser than Aristoteles. So the predicate of transitive here is wiser than. Yes. Well, it's same method for the second example. Simply, transitive relation here is if one thing relate to the second thing and the second relate to the third, and then back to the first relate to the third, so we call as entire relation. Different from intransitive, different from transitive. Intransitive, the compound sentence is contradictory and the predicate is intransitive. So take a look at the example. John is the father of Bill, and the Bill is the father of Sue, and the John is the father of Sue. The word father of here is intransitive. So it is impossible with John is the father of Sue. In intransitive, the sentence is impossible for both of them to be true at the same time, and at the same circumstance. So it's called the contradictory. I think that's all my part. I hope you understand. The next presenter will explain the next material. Thank you.
So it's my turn to deliver to you about derivation. Derivation is a process to forming a new word by add some affix. It can be suffix or prefix. So it will create a new meaning. Talking about the derivation, there were so many types of derivation. The first one is noun suffix. Noun suffix is the process of forming a noun word by add some suffix or prefix, and the suffix are ian for discussion, man for statement, nes for darkness, et for reality, ens for difference, hood for childhood, and ship for airship. And then the second one types of derivation is verb suffixes. Verb suffix is the process of forming verb word by add affix. So the suffixes of this verb suffix like aid and evi and ice. For example, like aid for activate and for sweeten, evi for beautify, and ice for modernize. So now the last types of derivation is adjective suffix. Adjective suffix is the process of forming an adjective word by add some suffix or prefix. For example, like full, beautiful, less, powerless, white, sandy, economic, us, dangerous, equal, historical, ish, childish, if, active, and different, able, countable. So those are the example of types of derivation. And now let us move about compound derivation. Compound derivation is a process of combining two pre-existing words in a language. So it means that there is two pre-existing words that combine together. It's called compound derivation. For example, like bittersweet, and then homework, sleepwalk, and sunrise, and also sunset. And the last one is talking about process of derivation. The first one is morphological process. Is it changing the shape of an existing word by adding a prefix or suffix morpheme to an existing root morpheme. To make it clear, I'll give an example after I read all about the process. The second one process is syntactic process. Is a process to changing the part of speech of word. For example, like if you want to change the verb into the noun, so it's called syntactic process. And the last one is semantic process. Is producing a new sense. So if you want to producing a new sense, it's called semantic process, or like we can make it as a sentence maybe. So okay, let us take an example about morphological, syntactic, and also semantic process. The first one is there is a word of love. It is a noun, and then plus er, it become laughter. So er, the suffixes of er is morphological process, and then the changing from laugh or verb into laughter to noun, it called semantic process. Sorry, I mean syntactic process. And then semantic process is when we try to make a sentence, but we use the word of laughter, like Jesse's laughter bubbled up at the anger in his tongue, like in the table. And then the second one is the example of word teach. Teach plus er. So the suffixes er from teacher is a morphological process, and then teach is a verb into teacher become noun is syntactic process, and then semantic process is like my mother is a teacher at elementary school. And the last one example is rat plus nest. Nest is a morphological process, and then rat is adjective plus nest become a noun. So it calls morphological process. And then the semantic process is Ratna crept into my face, like that.
So that's all my explanation about derivation, and it will be delivered more clear by my partner.
My name is Indah Wijayanti and I would like to continue the material of derivation. Okay, I would like to explain the incoative, causative, and resultative. Okay, so the first is incoative, which is form denotes the beginning or coming into existence of some state. Okay, for the example is dark, which is adjective, denotes a state darken, which is intransitive verb. And then another example is dry into dry. Dry, which is adjective, into dry, intransitive verb. Clear, adjective, into clear, which is also intransitive verb. And hard, adjective, into harden, which is intransitive verb. So it denotes the beginning or coming into existence of some state. Next is causative. Okay, so the causative is form denotes an action which is cause something to happen. Okay, same as the name causative, so it's about the cause of something to happen. Okay, we move to the example. Take a look in open. Open, which is transitive verb, into open, which is intransitive verb. Okay, maybe another example. Redden into redden. John reddened his hat. Freeze. We will freeze this strawberry for Christmas. Okay, actually it's a same word, but it's a different form, which is freeze is transitive verb. The first freeze is transitive verb, and the second freeze is intransitive verb. Okay, and then move. So in move, we can see the difference of the word. The first move is transitive verb, and then the second move is intransitive verb. Next is resultative. Resultative is a form denotes a state resulting from some action. Okay, same as the name resultative, so it's about a result from some action. Okay, we move to the example. Broken, which is adjective, is the resultative from corresponding to break, which is transitive verb. Okay, maybe another example. Freeze, which is adjective, into transitive verb. Ice is frozen water. So water that is frozen is ice. The result is ice. Okay, and then dry. The roof has hatched with dried grass. Dry is adjective and dried is transitive verb.